understand what you're saying. No.
There it is.
Let's hear it.
Well, let's hear it.
Talk to us. Uh-oh.
Beadle and Decker, taking on sports talk like no one else. Michelle Beadle,
I'm just helping. I'm helping America one by one.
Cody Decker.
I 100% believe in revenge. Revenge is a great thing.
Back to the sports.
Back and ready for more.
Every time I tune them out, they pull me back in.
It's Beadle and Decker. Here's Michelle and Cody.
Hello, everybody. It is a beautiful Thursday here in sunny, wonderful Southern California. And yes, you are watching Beadle and Decker live on YouTube. Maybe you're watching us live on Twitch. And yes, we're going to be going on more platforms coming up here pretty soon. Hopefully you're joining us. I know it's a different time of the day, 10:30 a.m. out here on the West Coast. And why are we doing 10:30? Well, it's because I have a meeting later with a good friend of mine who I haven't seen in a long time, a radio legend named Mark Thompson of former Mark and Brian fame. And I'm looking very forward to going to see him. I'll post photos on social media. But you know what's great about this time of change? It really works out for today's co-host, who is every Thursday's co-host. It's a Keith Irizarry. Oh, Thursday. And he is just a jacked, wonderfully bald man. And I got to say, maybe the best shirt I've ever seen you wear on this show. Oh!
Yeah, thought you'd like that one. You know what's
Dude.
funny is, and I won't say the line, but in your opening, it talks about you believing in revenge. There was a certain line that Tupac said that involved revenge. I'm not saying any of it because we'll get in trouble. But yes, it's in a song. Yeah,
Dude, I'm actually kind of impressed that you're rocking the Tupac gear. And the reason why, I'm on the West Coast over here, Southern California love. You know, we love us some Pac. You're an East Coast cat. Were you, back in the 90s, were you into the East Coast, West Coast rivalries, or were you just, dude, good tunes is good tunes is good tunes?
Yo, so I am like hip hop guy, right? And this generation, you gotta understand, when Tupac got killed, I was either 15 or 16 years old, and then Biggie the following year, so I was either 16 or 17 years old. Like, I was all in on all of this. I knew, you know, all the lines to all of their songs. Yeah, definitely being an East Coast guy, like I was slanted towards Biggie at the time. As I've gotten older and you listen back, I think I like Tupac's music better. And it's always an interesting thing, though. And Cody, we see this with a lot of different kind of music. You could see this with athletes also. And I know we're going to talk about some things sports-wise too. It's hard sometimes to differentiate like what the person is, you know, privately or like not with the microphone in front of them. Like, can you, like, if you don't love their morals, can you still like their music? Right. Like, it's you see that it is, you see it, like you see Michael Jackson, like R. Kelly, like all of these, like Diddy would be on that list, like all the things like that.
Big time. Right? I mean, Kanye's on that list. Like I haven't listened to Kanye now in like 7 years. I really haven't. You know what sucks? The College Dropout is maybe one of the best rap albums ever put together.
Right. And that would have been right in your sweet spot because you're 6 years younger than me. So that was like the perfect sweet spot for you. Yeah.
Yeah, dude. I love that album. And I can't even listen to it anymore. It sucks.
And
but
Kanye also has a new album out right now that apparently is not doing well. Like, no one's buying it.
Yeah, well, I just found out from you just now that Kanye has a new album out, and I would not have known that if you didn't tell me that. Also, on top of that, I'm also
it's called Bully, by the way.
Naturally. Also, like on top of that, you can actually apply that to movies and cinema as well. Like I remember there was there's the Spirit Awards, which is the independent film awards every single year. And I remember a few years back, Nick Kroll and John Mulaney both hosted, and this was during the midst of the Me Too movement. And they had this amazing joke. It was like, how do we do it? How do we separate the artist from the art? Like, I know what we're talking about with Kevin Spacey, but can we still love K-Pax?
Right.
That was such a good joke.
There were all the Louis C.K. stuff too, right? Like, I remember when he went through all the stuff that he was doing, even like actors and actresses stuff, like the Roseanne Barr stuff too. Like, you know, who was the Cooking Network woman, Food Network?
It was Paula Deen. Yeah.
Right. So like it's a fascinating study on like the arts that they do, whomever it is, versus the human being that they are. Does it matter to you, right? Like, do the morals of that person matter to you? It's very interesting.
It is extremely interesting. It's a strange dichotomy. I mean, we're dealing with it all the time, right? And we deal with it in sports. Hell, like I know it's yesterday's news, but the Jaden Ivey thing has gotten a lot of people up in arms for a lot of different reasons. And it's very, very fascinating to see people taking sides and reasons that they take said sides. It's just interesting to see. It's just interesting to see how people are looking at certain situations. Same situations I'm looking at and completely different reads.
Right, but I mean, like you can go further with that, right? So you Jaden Ivey, right? You have Puka Nacua dealing with what he's dealing with right now and going into rehab. I know we're going to get into that a little bit, but like whether like there are some people that will say whatever he's doing, like, is it really rehab worthy or is he just not a good person? Like, I'm not saying that, but there are people that will say that, right?
It's very fair.
Look at Tiger Woods about a week ago. Again, whether it's falling off the wagon or making poor decisions or whatever it may be, some people will say, like, I don't care. He's the best golfer I've ever seen. And some will say he's despicable and this and that. Again, so it's really your word dichotomy, which I think should be the vocab word of the day. The dichotomy there is awesome. Like it's fun conversations to have and also deep conversations to have.
Very much so. Very, very much so. Well, Keith Irizarry, what do you say we go ahead and get into it? Because one man saw the future. One man saw it coming. And they called him a madman, Keith Irizarry. Everyone didn't believe me when I said Kirk Cousins was damn sure going to be a Raider. Ladies and gentlemen, we have our mentor for the weird kid. Let's go.
You like Mendoza. That? You like that?
You know what? I do like that. I can't believe I'm saying that, but I like that. I like that a lot because I don't expect the Raiders to compete. I expect them to get better this year. And you know what? A veteran like Kirk Cousins, who I don't think Kirk Cousins can take anybody to the Super Bowl, let alone these Raiders. And also, I'm not expecting Kirk Cousins to start all season long. I'm probably expecting to start at the beginning of the year. If he does well, he maybe keeps it going. But honestly, Mendoza is going to be the quarterback of this team. He threw a long bomb yesterday in front of Spytek, and Spytek apparently, allegedly, if you believe reports, leaned over to somebody and was very impressed with what he saw. I'm excited for this Raiders future, and Kirk Cousins seems like the right type of mentor for that kid because that kid's out there doing interviews like, oh, gee, golly, I love my mother. He's going to Vegas to be a Raider, man. That place can destroy people.
So much of this makes sense. And I'm happy for you that you were correct on this. I love when, you and I, if we say something and it comes to fruition, it's kind of cool, a little validation as to what we do and that, we're good at what we do. So
yes,
the reason why this works is there has to be a few layers to this. Like Kirk Cousins has to understand that he is Kurt Warner right now. And again, if we're going to peel back the curtain, we go back to the New York Giants days when Kurt Warner was there and Warner was still a starting QB in the NFL, but they had drafted Eli Manning or traded for Eli Manning, and they knew that Eli Manning needed some seasoning. About halfway through the season, the Giants season wasn't going great. They flipped it over, went to Eli Manning, and that was the end of it. Eli Manning started, like 12 consecutive seasons or whatever it was, and Warner would go on and leave, right? So if you're Kirk Cousins at 37 years old, you have to understand my role is to do my best to make it so Mendoza doesn't have to play his rookie year, right? That would be for Kirk Cousins. But the second part of this is to make it so that Mendoza is the future of this organization. And that is a tough thing to swallow, right? Because Kirk Cousins, for all that you want to say at 37 years old, is still a competitor. You were a professional athlete. You know what it is. You don't want to groom the next person, but that's what he's going to be there for. Also, that's what he's getting paid for, $20 million guaranteed dollars.
And listen, nobody gets guaranteed money better than Kirk Cousins. Okay, maybe Deshaun Watson, but Kirk Cousins is the second best at getting guaranteed money. Also, just going through the whole thing and going through the notes, this deal could be worth a lot more. Now, I don't expect it to last an entire 5 seasons. I just simply don't. But somehow, if it did, it could be worth up to $172 million. But let's be real clear. No universe that's going to happen. I could see him being there this year, maybe another year on top of that. But listen, I'm excited for him. I'm excited for the future of the Raiders. I like this move. And as a guy that has been asked to and perform, and now keep in mind, I did not have the success or the pocketbook that Kirk Cousins has warranted throughout his career. But I will admit, what you just said is absolutely right. It is a tough pill to swallow when you're a competitor and you're a guy and you're being asked to play that mentor role and taking that back seat. You know, I did it for the promise that they were going to try to sell me to Japan so I can get paid. You know, Kirk Cousins did it for $20 million guaranteed. Now, I think he got a better deal than me. And I think anybody and their cousin would absolutely do this. But, you know, maybe it's just Kirk Cousins is smart enough to recognize where he is in his career.
So weird, too. Like, you look at some of the numbers again. This is why you need to read more than just a headline, right? So 5 years, $172 million sounds laughable for a 37-year-old who couldn't hold on to a starting job in Atlanta, coming off an Achilles just a year and a half ago. Like, it's laughable. But then when you say $20 million guaranteed, that isn't laughable because technically Cousins is probably good enough to start some games, and being around the league so long, he is definitely good enough to mentor Mendoza. And then the other side of this, you want to talk about the intelligence for Kirk Cousins? This will mark the 11th consecutive season that Cousins will have guaranteed money in his contract.
I mean
mind blown.
Listen, I'm gonna put something out there right now that I feel really good and confident about, and I want your opinion. Has anyone, and I apologize for how I'm going to say this, because Kirk Cousins is a very talented quarterback. Clearly, he's been a quarterback in the NFL for 11 years. Clearly, the guy's got plenty of talent. But if we're looking at the talent level of the top tier quarterbacks over
more than that, I think it's 15 years. It's just 11 consecutive guaranteed money years. Yeah.
Sorry, 15 years. But if you look at the talent level, I've always, and correct me if I'm wrong, I've always considered Kirk Cousins to be a mid-tier quarterback as compared to talent levels of the other top-tier quarterbacks throughout the entire league. I've always seen him as a steady between 10 and 15th best quarterback in the league, almost like every single time. He's just Derek Carr with better health. Like not bad, but not great either. He might be, and his agents might be, in the history of the NFL, the smartest people in the history of this game, considering the fact that this man has made nearly $250-300 million in his 15-year career for being a 10th to 15th best quarterback in the league. Like, it's actually quite astonishing how much money Kirk Cousins has made, like Matthew Stafford money, and Kirk Cousins is not Matthew Stafford.
I'm trying to find the Kirk Cousins money here. I'm looking really quick. And I'm not finding it. All right. So
he made some money.
Yeah, he has. Yeah. I can't off the top of my head remember someone who would be considered average to above average for an entire career. Again, by the way, if you're average to above average, that's still like stinking awesome. Like, it's amazing what he's done. It's just that at no point was Kirk Cousins ever considered better than maybe a top 10 QB. Like, maybe there was the one season he had really good that was like, maybe he was like the 8th or 9th best QB, but typically he was probably between 10 and like 15. Did you find the number? What'd you find?
I found the number. I found the number.
How much has he made?
I would like to preface by reading the quote that it says right before this, because it's exactly what I just said without saying these words. Kirk Cousins is widely regarded as one of the most successful businessmen in NFL history, having maximized his earnings through fully guaranteed contracts and strategic free agency moves. As of April 2026, and it is April 2nd, 2026, Kirk Cousins has earned approximately $331 million.
You picked the wrong sport, bro. You picked the wrong sport.
Oh my God!
Yeah, you were like, oh, hey, Dad, let's go to the park and hit some baseballs. No, you should have been like, hey, Dad, can we throw the football around?
My father was useless. You were terrible, Jay. Oh my God. What? Useless.
Yeah.
$331 million for Kirk Cousins.
Yeah. You know my boys play basketball, and they're good at basketball. You know what? I think I'm gonna go throw the football around with them later today.
Yeah, none of your kids are playing basketball ever again.
I think I've changed my mind.
And your son just won an award for playing basketball. Tell him it's over. I hope you enjoy the award. This is your pinnacle. We're playing football, kid.
Yeah, this is it, bro. That's it. Yeah, good riddance to that orange basketball thing that bounces around. We're gonna get rid of that one and go to the pigskin.
Wow.
Get to the gridiron.
Wow. By the way, I just want to touch on this. Me and Michelle touched on this yesterday. Sorry, Michelle and I, those you grammar Nazis out there. Here's the deal. A story came out yesterday, and a lot of people in the industry really ran with it hard in a way that I'm not going to lie to you. The more and more I've thought about it, even yesterday, it's been irking me more as the minutes tick by. And that's this whole Philly discussion surrounding Jalen Hurts. Now, this is really driving me nuts. And there's a lot of anonymous sources out there that are coming out of the Philly woodwork saying, yeah, he's not a team player. He's a problem. He changes too many things. The coaches are frustrated with him because he goes to the line and changes things. And he breaks away from the game plan and yada, 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 yada. And I'm not going to lie to you, reading that thing, it just read like one of the most intriguing and out of nowhere hit pieces I've ever read. And I was just kind of baffled by it the entire time, going, this is pretty unquestionably the most successful quarterback in the history of the Philadelphia Eagles. And this wasn't a team that was, like 5-12 last year. They had 11 wins and were in the playoffs. And they won a Super Bowl just the year before that, beating the ever-loving hell out of the big bad wolf.
And they were in a Super Bowl 2 years prior to that, yeah.
Mm-hmm. And a Super Bowl 2 years prior to that. And I'm just sitting here going, what the hell is this? And I part of me almost understood this narrative around Sirianni 2 years ago, even though I thought it was frighteningly overblown that Sirianni was on the quote-unquote hot seat just a half a year after being in the Super Bowl. But what is your takeaway from this? And why is it? And maybe I'm wrong, and maybe I'm just only glaring on this because of the Philly of it all. But what is it with Philly having like some preemptive fall guy going into the season? And why would you make it Jalen Hurts? Don't you want your quarterback to be confident enough to change plays at the line and to be as damn good as Jalen Hurts?
I don't necessarily think this is a Philadelphia thing. I think that I don't want to lean on that. I do think that big city fan bases usually find someone or something to complain about. Okay. So I think that, New York, Boston, your city, like you could go to certain cities in Dallas, you could go maybe like, in Chicago, like certain cities there, like that kind of stuff. Right. And then clearly Philadelphia would fall on there. So my biggest issue with the quote unquote hit piece on Jalen Hurts is like, so you're going to tell me that he goes to the line, he's not a team player, he changes the plays, he does all this kind of stuff, and you want continuity. Where is his continuity? Every year, it's a brand new offensive coordinator. And actually, this goes back to college for him. That's not a Philadelphia problem. But like, if he doesn't have an offensive coordinator that he can trust, he has to trust his own abilities and the fact that he's been in the league for whatever it is, 8 years now, and he's won a Super Bowl and lost a Super Bowl, like all that kind of stuff. So I don't know, man. This felt like one or two people are just trying to stir something up and make a thing, and then all the big networks decided to run with it. To me, it's much ado about nothing.
Same.
I mean, hopefully Sean Mannion is a good offensive coordinator. By the way, the other reason why Jalen Hurts continues to not have the same offensive coordinator is because he continues to do really well. So these offensive coordinators get jobs as head coaches.
Yeah.
Sorry.
It's just, I don't know what to say other than it's just the weirdest thing to watch this happen. And
well, it's also, let me just enjoy. Also, one thing that I think it's easy to pick on Jalen Hurts is he's not he doesn't wow you with his numbers, right? We know he can run. We know he scores touchdowns because of the tush push, but I think he's never had over 25 passing touchdowns. He's never gone over 4,000, passing yards. So like the traditional counting numbers, he doesn't hit. So that's why it's kind of easy to be like, oh, this guy isn't that good and he's the problem. Well, there is something to be said about winning, and he wins.
Yeah, about to say, you know what he does do? Goes to Super Bowls. I'll come to my Raiders. You can honestly, you can come to the Raiders and suck. You take me to a Super Bowl, I don't care. You can suck all the way through the rest of your career if you take me to some Super Bowls. I would like to play a clip for you, and I just want your take because I played it yesterday, but I can't get enough of it. And I want to play it in front of the great Keith Irizarry. Aaron Glenn is a coach over there in your city, and I just watch.
Listen, he fits exactly what we're trying to do. So obviously we've created an identity. The foundation of our offense is pretty good now. Like, I just feel like he's the guy that's going to lead us to the promised land. He's the guy that's going to touch the ball more than anybody else on offense. And listen, I know he had his struggles, and I think a lot of quarterbacks, they have their struggles. If you look at over the last 5 years, the guy that's thrown the most interception. I mean, the top guys are up there.
All right, so let me break down a few things that captured me in that one. First and foremost, that was a Cody Decker low V on the shirt. Okay.
I thought he looked great.
Aaron, he looks like he could still play.
He looks good.
He is a jack dude. All right, so we'll throw that aside. I guess I want to know what his definition of promised land is, question mark. Like, is promised land playoffs? Is promised land 8 wins? I don't know what promised land is, because I am old enough to remember when promised land meant a championship. So
well, this is the Jets we're talking about. They don't really know what that is.
I mean, I was, neither of us we even thought about the last time they won a championship.
God, I mean, listen, I'm not going to hear him make fun of Geno. Geno's had a very unique career. His last Jets run, I'm not going to sit here and point the finger at him. I think that's ridiculous considering the fact that just how many Jet quarterbacks have been ran out of town in absolutely comical fashion. And this man did win Comeback Player of the Year in 2022. He had a multiple double-digit win seasons. This is not to beat up on Geno. It's just also, what are you talking about, Aaron Glenn? It's Geno Smith. What?
There was a better way to word this. I mean, honestly, it should have been come to, you're backing Geno. You're saying how good he is, how good he could be for our organization. This is a guy that can get us to playoffs. That would have been the quote. If the quote was Geno can get us to the playoffs, I think that most people still would have mocked Aaron Glenn, but it wouldn't be like this.
Yeah, promised land. Well, it's a pretty bad promise, if you ask me. And we'll touch on this really quickly. I'm happy, but I'm also about it. But I'm also, I also see the darkness in these things. Listen, Puka Nacua has been checked into rehab, and I had to check with multiple sources after it was announced because obviously yesterday was April Fool's Day. So don't trust me. We'll get to that in a little bit, but I am happy based on all of the offseason that he's had, and he's had a really rough offseason. He's been in the news for all the worst possible reasons. He has this potential litigation issue that's going on that's stemming from a New Year's Eve party where he was drunk. He's been drunk in public a lot. It's been a very ugly offseason for Puka Nacua, and I am glad he is seeking help. But I also look at it going like, is he seeking help, or is this one of those situations that he just saw Njigba get the bag over there in Seattle and his agent said, no, you're the one that's getting the next bag. We need to get at least the perception that you're cleaning up your act so you can be the highest paid guy in the NFL. There's just a lot of it. I hope it's real is my thing. And I hope he is getting the help that he needs because if he doesn't, the road this will go down, man.
Yeah, well, Adam Schefter this morning reported that he's actually been in rehab for a while now. Like, it's been a couple of weeks. So I don't know, man. Like, these are those stories where it's hard to really like break down per se, like unless you know him, someone within his inner circle or anything like that. I'm going to echo your sentiment here. And I'm just going to say, like, hopefully whatever, whether it's demons or whatnot, like whatever he's dealing with, he kind of is able to come out of it, figure it all out, be the best version of himself that he can be, because obviously on the field, he is an absolute stud. So he's just trying to figure out the life part of things too. And I think us as human beings, sometimes we forget that there's the life part of it too. And again, just to go back to like your playing time, I'm going to speak for you and imagine that you knew athletes that you played with that were dealing with alcohol issues and maybe drug issues and things like that, right? Like,
I'd even go
names or anything, but
no. I'll go as far to say that even I had to deal with drinking too much while I was playing, and it's kind of the culture of it. Like, listen, I freely admit this, and of course, I don't care if anyone partakes or doesn't partake, but I'm a card carrying pothead. I smoke a decent amount of marijuana. I didn't when I played, because when I played, it was still against on the ban list. I would be drug tested and I would lose games for that. So the only recourse that I had after a long day, because I got the field every day at noon, I would leave at like 11 p.m., was to go drink to kind of come down. And I drank, honestly, way too much. Everyone kind of does in that baseball culture. And I do think it's gotten a lot better since I retired. But it's a very slippery slope, not to mention when you're at the pinnacle and you're in Los Angeles. And keep in mind, he was raised in, and I apologize, I don't mean to bring religion in this, but he was raised in the Church of Latter-day Saints. It's once you're now surrounded, you're in Hollywood. You're the guy in Hollywood. I mean, listen, it could be I can only imagine the slippery slope and the culture shock. Because remember, when he was drafted, he wasn't supposed to be wide receiver Puka Nacua. He had never played wide receiver before at the time.
Yeah, I mean, listen, again, I don't think there's a lot more to add to this except for the fact that hopefully whatever Puka needs to do to get himself correct in life and on the field, he does.
I hope so too. Desperately hope so as well, because he will be robbed and we will be robbed of watching probably one of the best wide receiver careers of all time. My guy, who's the MVP? Talk to me, because this is a what have you done for me lately league, and has anyone done more than Luka, or is there another name that's coming for SGA as we currently speak?
This is absolutely exhilarating. So it's still SGA's award. Okay, let's start that way with 2.5 weeks left in the season. It's his award, and I do think that how the Spurs and the Thunder finished this season could end up changing this. So I love Luka Doncic. That like my adopted team is the Lakers because me and my boys, we are, and again, I know grammar stuff, whatever, but we love LeBron James. So we kind of follow LeBron wherever he goes with our fandom. We're Knicks fans, but I'm a firm believer that I think you can have two teams. You have your one team that you live and die with, and then you have other team that you really love watching play. And I love watching LeBron play. And by proxy, I've grown to love watching Luka play, right? And what Luka is doing over the last, really the entire month of March is insane. But what Wemby is doing is insane also. So Wemby over the last 15 games has scored over 400 points, has over 150 rebounds, has more than 50 blocks, has more than 33s made, and is gone 15-0 when he's in the lineup over those last 15 games for the Spurs. So here's the line that I wanted to read to you, and I'm going to read it exactly, so I'm going to look down for a second. No one else in NBA history has ever had that stat line during a 15-game span of his career in each category separately. Like literally, not like Wilt Chamberlain never did that stat line that I just gave you. And when he's on the court now, so there was a big thing being pushed around, the narrative about his minute total, because LeBron has played more minutes than him. I know LeBron's not getting an MVP or any all first or second or third team awards or anything like that. But technically, LeBron has played more games than Wemby. No, I'm sorry. More minutes than Wemby, less games than Wemby. So LeBron won't reach the quota of the 63 games or whatever you have to play to get an award. Wemby will, but Wemby's less minutes. It's actually, when you word it that way, more impressive what Wemby's doing then. Wemby's playing less minutes and putting up these gaudy numbers.
Yeah.
It's sick. Now, all right, so I want to go back to, because you have the graphic there, the real MVP, and it's a picture of Luka Doncic there. So the narrative on Luka Doncic is that he plays no defense. That narrative over the last 6 weeks has been debunked. So there's a stat called ISO defense, And it's basically whenever Luka is guarding another human being one-on-one. Do you know that Luka Doncic, when he is guarding a player one-on-one, is actually top 10 in the metrics of defense?
Can I answer that question? Because no, I did not know that, and I wouldn't have believed you if you didn't.
It's his help defense that's really bad. Like, it seems like he's one of those like macho dudes. Oh, we're going one-on-one. I'm gonna lock in and play defense. But then if his guy doesn't have the ball, he's like,
he doesn't care. He's like, I'll just wait till the next one.
He's waving at a fan, like he's arguing with a ref. Like,
always, he's not tipping the staff. He's just doing Luka things.
Yes, yeah. So I think Luka's going to be third. I don't think he can catch SGA, and I don't think he can catch Wemby. I also think like what's crazy is we're going to have another guy that's not going to win an MVP because of like voter fatigue or whatever. But Nikola Jokic is also doing historic things too, right?
I know he is. And no one's talking about it because no one wants to talk about Joker anymore. And I know. I get it.
He's going to average a triple-double for a season for a second consecutive season. So
I know.
His assist total last night got him to the point where the way the stat goes, he could play the rest of the season and have 0 points, 0 rebounds, and 0 assists in every single game, and he will still average a triple-double.
That's
just chew on that. Just chew on that.
That's just so stupid. Oh, all right. Well, what do you say we move on and let's get over to some quick hitters, my guy. All right. This one caught my eye this morning because this was fascinating to me. Now, Disney is a large conglomerate. Maybe some of you have heard of them. Keith Irizarry, I have no doubt that you have heard of Disney.
I mean, I work for ESPN, so.
Well, there you go. They've paid your checks. Now, here's the deal. Like, I'm a Disney fan. I'm a Star Wars. Now, Disney over the last 15 years has really purchased up a storm. Obviously, what ESPN is now, and not to mention on top of that, they have the Marvel Cinematic Universe. They have the Star Wars universe. They have all of these properties that are just billions upon billions of dollars of entities to add into the billions upon billions of dollars that Disney already is. But this caught my eye because Disney current CEO came out and said he wants to bring back a relic of the 90s. And I thought this was fascinating. He wants to bring back the Disney retail stores that used to be all over the country. I am fascinated by this because I can't imagine a CEO saying such a thing without having numbers to back up that this would be financially viable. And considering the fact that I'm in Santa Monica, the 3rd Street Promenade is right over there. And the 3rd Street Promenade used to have a very prominent Disney store. 3rd Street Promenade is kind of a ghost town. Retail is kind of ghost town, ghost city central. Is it possible that Disney or the CEO has some sort of metric thinking that retail is about to make an actual comeback?
I would have to believe so because, I mean, honestly, brick and mortar type of businesses seem to be failing more than they're succeeding now in the world where I can go on my phone and click and go Amazon this, whoop, boop, it'll be here in 4 hours? Cool. Like, that is the world that we live in now. And honestly, post-pandemic, that's kind of what we all did, right? Like, we ordered food all the time. And I think that people still like Fresh Direct and all that stuff. Like, people still do that kind of stuff. And it's not a lazy thing. It's an ease thing, especially in households where you have children, like married couples. Like, gone are the days where one of the spouses don't work. Like, both most houses have both parents, both adults are working, and you don't have time all the time. So yeah, I remember the Disney store at the Sunrise Mall on Long Island being like such a big hit. I wasn't the hugest Disney kid. Like, I wasn't really into a lot of the Disney stuff. I didn't really love the cartoon stuff that much. But with that being said, like, as I got older, you grow a bigger appreciation for it. And I guess also with the Marvel world, I wonder, to throw this back to you, does this have anything to do with like WWE? The fact that Disney and WWE now have a partnership? Like, maybe there's a crossover there.
That actually, I didn't consider that. It's as good of a theory of anything else, I should assume. But I'm not positive. I got to check numbers. I don't think WWE is doing nearly, because WWE about 2 years ago was in the midst of like a real like secondary wrestling boom, like the one that happened in like 1998, 1999, which wrestling boomed the same way it boomed in the 80s. It's like wrestling has this massive booms and then they go down in the gutter for like every 5 years. I think wrestling, based on just online chatter and everything that I see, is kind of on that downswing type of mode right now, because it did hit a massive pinnacle like 2-3 years ago. I maybe, it's a big maybe. It's just, this is weird. Disney going back into brick and mortar is just a unique thing to read in today's day and age for all the reasons you just cited. Okay, next question. And I know, Keith, you're not a drinker. But hear me out on this. I do appreciate a drink. A bartender is going viral right now because she went back into the back and immediately did a video. And the video was simply this. She showed a plastic card that somebody gave her. And the front of the card had, I believe, had a rook on it from like a chess piece. And a card turned over and it said a drink that the man wanted to order. And the drink was very specific. It said 2 ounces of Jameson Irish whiskey, 4 ounces of ginger ale, a half ounce of amaretto. So that's like a little bit, it's an interesting drink. I'm like, okay, that's fascinating. The person made the drink and now the drink's kind of picking up. But the bartender was just like, this is brilliant. Like an actual brilliant idea. It's like, instead of handing you a business card, you hand the bartender the drink you want in the exact measurements. So you don't have to talk over anybody. It's just like one of those, I could see being in a busy bar and I want a specific cocktail. If I could just hand this over to the bartender, this is genius. We need this. I need this for every possible drink order and food order and life order.
Yeah, I despise this idea. I think it's a horrible, horrible idea. So we're going to continue to just take away part of the fun of being in that environment is having to lean in. No, what I'm saying, no, can I please get 2 of, no. What I was saying was, no,
that's not fun.
Sorry. But no, so I need 1 for me and 1 for my, that, okay, I'll just take a bud.
See, exactly. That's the problem. Because you give up and you order something you never wanted in the first place. No. This is genius. This is
actually
genius.
your final one. But I'm gonna double back. I cannot. I'll just take an Appletini.
Hey. There's nothing wrong with Appletinis, and you're a Scrubs fan. You know better than to be sitting here and shitting on Appletinis.
That's why I did that. I'm all caught up on Scrubs, man. This season is the greatest. It's the greatest. It is arguably the greatest television I've ever watched.
Bill Lawrence, man, a TV showrunner that simply do not miss. What?
Oh, you know what? I forgot that I didn't tell you this. So Jody and I started watching Shrinking.
And?
So good. Oh my God.
Good.
So we're about 7 or 8 episodes into season 1. And because you mentioning Bill Lawrence and him being the creator of it. And Zach Braff is directing episodes of Shrinking. I didn't realize that either. Like, oh my God, what a good show. And
it is so good.
Every character has a reason why you get invested of them in them in Shrinking. Like, even if you don't like them, you get invested in them in Shrinking. Really good show.
So funny. The next door neighbor husband. Why am I forgetting his name? He's Derek. And he's in everything. You know, he played Jefferson on Married with Children for years. He was the bully in Revenge of the Nerds. I can't stress enough. Derek is maybe my favorite character ever put in a show, because if there was a character that I could only assume was entirely based on me, it would be Derek in Shrinking.
Do you know what I learned yesterday too? Do you know? So his wife in the show, the one
that's Bill Lawrence's wife. Yeah.
That's really Bill Lawrence's wife. I didn't know that.
Yeah.
And that's why she's in every Bill Lawrence. Yeah.
And by the way, she's great in everything she's ever been. I remember I first saw her in, she was one of the leads in the Drew Carey show for like 10 years before all of that. Yeah.
And then Scrubs. Yeah.
And then Scrubs, of course. All right. Let's move on. What is the nerdiest thing about you, Keith Irizarry?
Wow. The nerdiest thing about me. I mean, it's probably the lack of drinking thing, right?
That's not nerdy. It's just you're a square, but we love that you're a square. That's a cool thing. That's cool.
I enjoy staying in more than going out. As I'm getting older and older, like I kind of like if it's go to a party, and again, so I'm not even trying to say like I don't like the people that would be there, right? But like there are times where Jody's like, oh, you know, like this couple, they're having people over, like we're invited, and I sometimes just say yes to her because like I know I'm supposed to, and then I'm dreading it, and I'm kind of like I work so much, I'm running around with the kids so much. Like if we don't have something going on, like I'd rather take Jody out to dinner by ourselves or just like sit home and watch a little TV and relax. I don't know if that's nerdy or not, or if that's just old age.
Bro, I'm not gonna lie to you. I'm like really with you on this. I'm 39 years old, and I love a night in so much more than a night out. And I'm not kidding. 10 out of 10 times now.
Yeah.
I can't do it. But I'm also this. Like I've also changed how I go out. Nighttime ain't for your boy anymore. I ain't your boy ain't for them streets. I'm a happy hour guy. Once I start seeing the sun come down, it means daddy's gotta go home.
Yeah. Yeah, I could see that. I mean, I don't mind the nighttime stuff because a lot of my jobs are nighttime, but I'm just saying, like, I don't. You know, the other thing too is, and this is another thing that I guess would be nerdy. Like, I don't know, like small talk sometimes is tough.
I can say that. Like, no, especially if it's somebody you don't know all that well and you're kind of just trying to feel each other out type of thing.
Well,
not my favorite.
Also because of what we do for a living, right? So I would imagine if I were Cody Decker, former professional baseball player, now turned broadcaster, if I were Cody Decker and walk into a place and it's a bunch of like dads or moms or whatever, right? And any of them have any interest in sports at all they want to do is pick your brain about everything. So like even for me, like a lot of times it's like, oh, so what are you betting on tonight? What are your best bets? I got my fantasy football draft coming up. Can you help me with it? I'm kind of like, or we could just like talk about Scrubs and like, or a TV, like, you know what I mean? Like we could just do normal things. We don't have to do like, you're a doctor. I'm not going to ask you about like, hey, so what's it like removing an appendix? I don't know.
Yeah.
You know? I mean,
you know what you're actually saying is that hits the nail. So I am relatively extroverted at times. I'm actually, when I go places and I'm like, my girlfriend brings it up to me all the time. You know, the one that you claim doesn't exist, and you're probably right, but I'm not going to admit that on the air. She brings it up all the time. She's like, listen, she's a little. If I say it first, it takes the power away from you.
What? So you know what you've never told me, and I did some digging. I found out. So her name is Fake Arena. That's crazy.
Yes, it's her grandmother's name. Anyways, my girlfriend, who is completely real, says this all the time when we go places because she's fairly introverted, but I can go to places and, you know, kind of turn it on and then immediately turn it. But when I turn it off, I like really turn it off. And
that's who I am too.
Yeah, I don't shut down, but I practically kind of shut down, and it's just it's a kind of a weird thing. I'm like an introvert and extrovert all kind of rolled into one. It just depends on my surroundings, and it's I'll also admit it can be exhausting. I'll freely admit it. Also, my nerdiest quality, it just has to be. I have probably a collection of 10,000 comic books. I'm a massive comic book nerd. Always been a bigger DC fan than Marvel fan. That being said, I've always loved Marvel as well. I have an encyclopedic knowledge of comic book history and lore, and it's just something I've always really, really dug. And I always loved. This is how I used to justify it, because people always looked at comic books, especially when I was growing up, even though comic books when I was growing up was a very adult medium, not a kid medium. Very adult stories, violent stories at times, dark stories often. I'll never forget it. How I had to explain it to people who were like, "Oh, you read comic books? You're such a nerd." I'm like, comic books are actually a high form of American culture, and I'll tell you why. Because it's one of America's only created art forms. You have the blues, you have jazz, and you have comic books. Those are the three things that were created in the United States as a full-on Americana art form. So I always tell this story. There was a comic book. There was a class in like the early '90s. I believe it was at like Washington and Lee or some major like literary type of university, and they had an open class and they wanted to figure out what they're going to put in there. So they actually left it to the students, and they let students come in and put in their suggestions on what this class could be. And one guy said the history of comic books. And he came in and he sat there with the head of the department. And the department head looked at him. He said, okay, I want you to know I'm a big fan. I grew up a comic book fan. I read your proposal, just the title. You're not going to get this, but I was so intrigued. I wanted to take this meeting anyways. And he just said, because keep in mind, I grew up reading comic books when I was a child too. I read Superman, but this isn't going to happen. Go ahead and make your pitch. And the guy immediately on the fly changed his pitch and said, you read Superman? Can you tell me Superman's origins if you can remember? He's like, yes, Superman was a baby on the planet Krypton. Scientists, mother and father, send their only son across the universe to come to Earth to be the savior of mankind. So great. Do you know the story of Moses? And the guy starts going, yes, all the firstborn of Egypt were dying, and a mother and father send their only child up the river to become. The class starts on Thursday. You got the job. And I'm like, that's a great story. And I don't know. I've always appreciated comic books a lot, the writing, and how it's an ongoing story where other writers and artists can kind of come in and carry on the torch and telling an ongoing story. And I just always thought it was such a unique medium in that front, which leads me to this next quick hitter. Millie Alcott, an actress who has starred on the show Game of Thrones House of Dragon and is now starring as the new Supergirl, went out and put a quote out and saying, is she's worried about anything about being the new Supergirl. And she said this: she expects backlash just by simply existing as a woman, so she doesn't think too much about it. And guess what? Social media proved her right in roughly 30 seconds, because after that quote came out, all the crybaby fanboys came out of the woodwork. It's like, she should just keep her mad, be happy she's playing Supergirl. Do you hate anything more than gatekeeping culture? Because come on, sports is one of the biggest culprits of gatekeeping culture.
I'm just not a fan of constant complaining.
Yeah,
so,
right.
I get there are things in life that you will complain about, but I routinely say this, and I try to be a very positive human being. Like, you know, when you go to work or whatever, like you walk into a studio and it's like, yeah, how's everything going? And I'll say, I can't complain, like that. Like, and I actually usually, I would say 95% of the time, like, really mean it. Like, what's so bad? I'm fine. All's good. Like, did I find a parking spot? Nah, it took me a little longer to take a parking spot. It's fine. All good. Like, oh, you know, I went to make myself lunch and we didn't have the cold cuts I wanted in the fridge. All right. So I used something else. It was all good. You know, oh, I went to DVR a TV show and my DVR didn't work that day. It's fine. I could stream it. It'll be good. That's all. It's fine. Actually, go back to shrinking. What's the line that the lawyer says? It all works out for me, or something like that.
Everything works out. Everything works out for me. Yep.
Yeah, everything works out for me. Yes.
And this one you brought to my attention. I can't get enough of this because Jordan's furniture store might have made the biggest mistake in the history of its life. They went out and put out this season. Jordan's furniture store launched a promotion that if both UConn men's and women's basketball team reach the national championship. And I want to say that phrase again, reach the national championship, not win, reach, then it will refund all purchases made between January 20th and March 1st. That would be about $50 million in revenue sales. Is Jordan's furniture going out of business?
Yeah, I don't. Now, first and foremost, I wonder if people who bought during that time will actually pay attention enough to realize. But even if half of them did, I can do half of 50. That's 25, and 25 million is a lot. Hey, guess what? I can do a tenth of it, and that's 5 million, and that's still a lot. Like, oh my goodness. A lot of money. A lot of money.
Well, I'm just saying it might have been a big mistake, is all I'm saying.
Yes, and obviously you brought attention to it. The most notable line in there is reach the national championship. Not win, reach.
Oh, boy. Well, that is it for our quick hitters. Hey, what do you say we just really quickly? It's Major League Baseball season. What has been catching your eye so far in this Major League Baseball season start? There are so many intriguing stories. I have not been quiet about how much I love ABS, so much so that obviously I'll show it to you right here. One of my tweets has gone slightly viral about CB Buckner, who is not having the best week of his life. That being said, CB Buckner took a foul ball to the mask yesterday and had to come out. He's being checked for a concussion, and I'm not kidding. That's serious business. I sincerely hope CB Buckner is as good and healthy as humanly possible and can get back to work as soon as he can. But what are your big takeaways thus far in this Major League Baseball season?
Not because I live in New York, but the Yankees being 5-1 and doing what they're doing. I know we're going to get to one of the pitchers in just a second, but doing what they're doing without Garrett Cole and without Carlos Rodon and with Aaron Judge, albeit kind of struggling early on, what they're doing is really, really absolutely impressive. And then I'll go to the polar opposite. I'm floored that the Red Sox are 1-5. I think their record is right now. They look bad right now. Again, really, really early. 162 games is like a lifetime of games. It feels like, but that's surprising. That would be that's my good and my bad takeaway. I also, how about the Marlins are 5-1? That's pretty cool.
They're nasty. They're good, and they're doing without spending any money. It's just
Sandy Alcantara looks like Cy Young Sandy again.
Dude, Sandy looks back, and which makes me think. And obviously, if they can keep this going, this was a team that was pushing for a playoff spot last year. If they're pushing for it, do you see a world where they move Sandy? Because you know they can get a haul for Sandy if Sandy's pitching like Sandy.
If they're pushing for a playoff, no. If they're pushing to get to 80 wins, let's say, you deal Sandy Alcantara and you get a haul. Yes, you do. Yep. You might even do it within the division to the New York Mets, who have a very loaded farm system and would be wanting Sandy Alcantara.
Yeah, you know what? And the other name that's out there that you put in the chat, Cam Schlittler.
Oh my God, yo, he's so good.
This guy. I know we shouldn't get too excited about 2 games in, but
he was good last year too.
I'm getting excited about 2 games in and last year. Like this guy's for real, and it's making me go like. I'm going to ask you this question, and I know it's early, and I know this might be a little hyperbolic, but do you think the Pirates might have made a mistake? Because the Yankees were trying to get Paul Skeens, and Schlittler was in allegedly that potential package, along with their other 2 top prospects.
I'm going to say no, because I think that Paul Skeens is Paul Skeens. I mean, and if you could take away the first start of this year, Paul Skeens' career ERA was sub-2, all right? But there is a comparison. So the first 18 starts of their careers, Schlittler, 2.36 ERA, Skeens 2.23. WHIP, Schlittler a little bit high at 1.06, 0.95 for Skeens. Ks per 9, Cam at 10.3, Skeens at 11.2. Walks per 9, 2.8 to 2.1, and home runs per 9, Cam actually gives up less at 0.7 to 0.8. Cam Schlittler is not Paul Skeens, but if Cam Schlittler is the 4th pitcher in the rotation for the Yankees later in the year, like if it ends up being Cole, Fried, Rodon, Schlittler, and like Will Warren or why am I blanking on the other guy that's there right now? They just got him.
Where did they get him from?
David, whatever. Their 5th pitcher right now. Like the New York Yankees.
Who is it?
It's fine.
I'll find it.
Yeah, you look it up for a second. If the New York Yankees have that top 4 or 5, you're gonna have to start. Like we talked about the Mariners being the best pitching staff. The Yankees would be the David Weathers, Ryan Weathers.
Oh, David Weathers. Oh, the lefty, Ryan Weathers, former
just
National and Padre. Yeah. He can be good. He's a legacy.
I think
guy
I think he'll be more of a long relief guy. I think would be the better fit for him. But yeah, like they're deep in a pitching rotation now.
Yeah. Well, listen, the Yankees are. You see the Yankees get endless shit. That's part of the Yankees kind of life. Yankee fans are just furious that they're not winning World Series at the clip that they were in the 90s and the early 2000s. And I guess I get it, but this team is really good. It's really good. It's a good baseball team with a lot of good players and multiple MVPs, 3 MVPs. players, not total trophies. 3 MVP separate players. Cy Youngs, they're good.
Yeah,
pretty good.
Everywhere. It is everywhere.
Yeah. All right, let's go ahead. And what do you say? Because we got some videos on this. Let's shiggle real quick. All right, my guy. So, what are you shiggling on, my man?
Did you watch this Washington Wizards prank thing? April Fools. Oh goodness. You have the video for me?
I do.
This is the one, though.
All right.
Jackson, it's all on you. This might be history if you get this done. For $10,000. Oh my.
Yes, sir.
Somebody's wrist.
Oh man.
The mascots are going crazy.
Oh
the
man.
It's going crazy. The crowd is going crazy. Jackson, oh my gosh. You didn't see it. We all saw it. You want to see it? All right, take a look at the screen for the replay. That was crazy. You go up with it right here, and you see how it just doesn't actually go in.
Bruh.
Oh man.
Dude.
Bro.
All right, so
Bruh.
you can cut that there. All right, so by the way, they told this guy Jackson that he was going to get an autographed jersey and I think a pair of
courtside seats for next year. They better be damn good.
But they got backlash. So a couple hours
did.
ago, the Wizards, this was their post. We apologize for last night's April Fool's joke that left many wondering if we had misled a fan. The skit involving our mascot and other members of our performance team was scripted and intended to celebrate the day. All participants were in on the joke, but we missed the mark. Our fans are our priority, and we continue to be committed to providing a positive experience to all who attend our games. So my question to you, Mr. Codifer Decker, is this. Are they just covering their butts? Because this would lead us to believe that the guy Jackson was in on it. So was Jackson in on it, or did they get so much backlash they had to make it seem like he was?
How about this? I think they're covering their ass, but if the guy was in on it, I'm just as angry. Like, what's the point of doing any of this then? That it just bothers me. I think we need to get rid of April Fool's Day. I hate April Fool's Day now. I'm a prank guy. I've done more pranks than I got popular for doing pranks. None of y'all can do pranks. You know who did pranks? Me. I know how to do pranks. You guys need to stop this nonsense. Yesterday, listen, go at PTI, seeing Pablo Torre do a 3-minute bit about how the ABS system is 50% flawed, and then doing April Fool's. We need to stop this. It's hard enough to get information as it is. Social media yesterday was an absolute nightmare, to the point where we read a real story like Puka's going to rehab. I don't know if it's real, and I have to get it double checked, quadruple checked, 20 times checked. Pablo Torre is one of those guys I would go to get these things fact checked, and he's even doing these things. Sham's doing one. I'm like, guys, all of you, everyone stop it. Please stop celebrating April Fools. You're all terrible at it.
Yeah, I would like to go back to the days of like a whoopee cushion is what you do in April Fools, right? Like, you know, oh, my teacher ran out of the class. I'm going to put the whoopee cushion on his or her seat. And then, that was funny. I don't need people messing with our livelihoods.
Also, Jeets is right. Nobody wants tickets.
I'm actually going to a Heat Wizards game, but anyway.
Well, you're going there to see the Heat. That's what I'm going to tell myself. All right. Here is my shiggle, and it happened last night at the Boston Bruins game.
Okay. That's awesome.
That is awesome. Hold up. It gets better. It gets better. I love Drake May fan. gets acknowledged by Drake May over there at the Boston Bruins game. Bro, that right there is why I fucking love sports, man.
That was real. I don't know how I missed that video. That was really cool.
Right? How cool is that?
Yeah, that was awesome. That's really cool.
That's all. That just made me happy. Do you have another Shiggle? I think you said you might have had two.
No, I added it to reflections instead.
Perfect. Then let's go ahead and let's do that. Shall we reflect? Reflections. All right, Keith Irizarry, what are you reflecting on today?
So I have a soft spot in my heart for the hot dog eating contest. Okay. So Nathan's hot dog eating contest. I love it. I watch it each and every year. The soft spot goes back to when my wife and I first started dating. She had never watched it before. And we were talking on the phone on 4th of July. And I said, it's today. And she goes, I didn't realize that, like, it's just not something that's been in, something I watch. Right. So we stayed on the phone for the hour, watched it on ESPN, and we have proceeded every single year since we were dating, then married, and still married. Like, we still watch it routinely. Our children watch it. I say all that to bring this up. So the Blue Jays do this thing called Looney Dogs, where they give $1 hot dog nights, and there's a certain amount of hot dog nights that they do per season. The Blue Jays ate 90,708 hot dogs on the first hot dog night that they had. Yeah. So that's a lot of hot dogs. I have often thought about, like, what could like Joey Chestnut, his best ever was 73. I've always wondered, that was a controlled environment during the pandemic. There was, that was could, like, air condition, like, didn't have to worry about, all the warm and whatnot, weather and rain and all kind of stuff. Anyway, I'm a nerd with hot dog eating contests.
Clearly, Jesus.
That should have been my nerdy thing that I said. So I have always wondered how many hot dogs I could eat in the 10 minutes, because the buns, the carbs are what really would hurt you. And again, I don't eat like that very often. I'm a firm believer. I think I could do at least one per minute. I think I could get 10 to 12 done. I do.
Jeez,
I really believe that I could.
I honestly know I can't. But I hear this is a hot take. It's not that I dislike hot dogs. I just don't love hot dogs. I do need to dress up a hot dog quite a bit for me to enjoy it. You know what?
You get to dip it in the water. You snap it in half. You dip it in the water, or you can snap it in half. You can actually separate the bun and just smush the bun.
Can't do it. Not for me. But I appreciate that you can. I bet you'd be a great, like, hot dog eating competition guy.
I'd be down. Yeah, I mean, and the better eaters now are the ones that are actually in shape. Like,
the ones that have abs, and you got like 20 abs, so like you would crush it.
Yeah, we're ready. Yeah, we're ready.
My shiggle is about. I'm sorry. My reflection is about how upset I am right now that I missed something on Friday that I didn't know was taking place until after it happened. Last Friday, on March 27th, one of, if not my very favorite band, Weezer, did something awesome here in Los Angeles, California. They did an impromptu Venice Beach, California acoustic set from the rooftop of a restaurant called Hinano Cafe, a very legendary spot in Venice, California. They went it from the rooftop and they played off the rooftop, a la like the Beatles. And when I say the entire street was absolutely packed with Weezer fans watching this, I'm going to say something that you guys might say is hyperbolic, but it's not, because out in Southern California, Weezer is the Beatles. It's like neck to neck out here in Southern California between Weezer and Red Hot Chili Peppers. And what they do is they jockey for position depending on who's on tour. Dude, I've seen Weezer in concert. It's one of the best shows I've ever seen in my life. I love me some Weezer, and I need to make sure I'm following everything Rivers Cuomo is doing, because if I miss another rooftop concert from Weezer again, your boy's going to be very upset.
I thought you were going to feel bad that you weren't wishing me a happy birthday yet.
Is it your birthday?
It's Monday.
This upcoming Monday?
This coming Monday, yeah.
Well, then that's why I haven't done it yet.
Yeah, so on Thursday, you can reflect back on all the great things that I do and the reason why, like, my birthday is important to you. I like it.
I will.
I've already written your reflection for you.
I will next Thursday, guys, and you want to be around for it next Thursday, because next Thursday, Keith Irizarry will be back right here on a Keith Irizarry Thursday. Guys, that is it for us today. We'll be back tomorrow at noon Pacific time with a surprise guest co-host. Who's it going to be? The reason I'm not telling you, because I don't know yet either. Ha! Well, it's going to be fun one way or another.
They won't be wearing as good of a shirt as me, but anyway, go ahead.
No, that's just that, dude. There's no question about it. They will not be rocking a shirt. Keith Irizarry, the legend, the man, the myth, the absolute Adonis, my guy. Which of the 75 channels that you are currently on should we tell people that you're going to find?
I got NHL Network this weekend. I got NHL. I'm doing the Islanders Flyers game tomorrow. And then I'm taking a couple of days off next week before I get back with you.
I love it. I love it. Guys, you can follow me on Instagram, Antihero Baseball. Follow the show, like, share, and subscribe to the show, both on Twitch, Twitter, on Instagram. We are going to be putting this show on more platforms. And follow Keith Irizarry on social, on Instagram, so you can see one, amazing basketball highlights, because his son is an absolute monster, and amazing information in all the spots you can find him. Guys, we will be back here tomorrow at noon. Look forward to seeing you. And, of course, most importantly, R.I.P. Estelle Getty.